A very good morning to all. Today, we are moving on to a new topic, and the name of the topic is Nest of Birds. So, let me ask you a question first. Have you seen birds building their nest? So, what is this nest? The home of birds. We call it as nest. So, we know that all living beings, all living things need air, water, shelter to live. So, birds also need a home to live. The home of birds, we call it as nest. And why do these birds need nest? They need nest to lay eggs, to raise their young ones. They need nest. So the home of birds, we call it as nest. So the birds use different materials to make its nest, like twigs, cotton, thread, feathers, grass, leaves. So they use many materials, different types of materials to build their nest. And why do they build their nest? They build their nest to lay eggs. So the birds lay eggs in their nest. And after a few days, you know what happens? The baby birds hatch from the egg. And the mother bird take care of these birds, young ones, protects them, and these young ones stay in the nest till they are able to fly. So home of birds, we call it as nest. Now let's see how birds build their nest. So there are birds which build their nest on trees, on ground, or on the surface of the water. So let's see different types of birds and their nest. The first one, birds like crow. Have you seen crows making nest? So they actually build their nest on trees. You know what all things they use? They use twigs and thin sticks to make their nest, and they build their nest on trees. And the weaver bird. Have you heard about this weaver bird? The weaver bird weaves its nest using grass, leaves, etc. And the next one, the tailor bird. Have you seen the tailor bird building its nest? It is very interesting about tailor bird. You know why? Because the tailor bird make its nest out of leaves, out of large sized leaves. And you know what they do? They stitch the leaves together. So you can see this picture clearly. They stitch the leaves together and build their nest and take care of their young ones. So they stitch the leaves together with a cotton thread or the thread from the spider web. So that is about the nest of tailor bird. The next one is the owl. You know where do this owl makes nest? So the owl makes nest in the holes which is present in the tree trunk. So the owls make nest in the holes which is present on the tree trunk. And the next one, penguin. There are birds like the peahen, penguin, flamingos. They build their nest on the ground. You know how these penguins build their nest? They build their nest on the ground using pebbles or stones. So this is about some birds. This is about different birds and their nest. So I hope you understood about the topic nest of birds. So the home of birds, we call it as nest. And they lay eggs in their nest and raise their young ones in the nest. And birds use different materials to build their nest. The last one, let me ask you, have you heard about the scientist named Charles Darwin? So this Charles Darwin was a naturalist. You know who is a naturalist? The person who is expert in the natural world is called as the naturalist. And this Charles Darwin, during his research work, found finches. They found birds called finches. And he found 12 types of finches. And he observed that all these 12 types of finches have different beaks. And he came to a conclusion that so different types of birds have different types of beaks, depends on the food they eat. So this is about the scientist named Charles Darwin And Charles Darwin was a naturalist. Who is a naturalist? The person who is expert in the natural world is called as naturalist. So we are done with this chapter, and the name of the chapter was birds. And what did we learn in this chapter? We learned about birds around us. We learned about the body parts of a bird. And we learned about the different types of feathers of a bird. Then we learned about the beaks, the feet, and the nest of birds. I hope you understood this chapter. Write down the answers in your notebook. So we'll meet in the next class with a new topic. Till then, thank you.